Hello there, thanks for stopping by Max's Cards and Dice Dugout. This is episode 119, and we are at Candlestick Park for game number 37 of the Oldtimer Kings King of the Hill tournament with Strat-O-Matic baseball, and this is the 1962 San Francisco Giants, who are the current Kings, hosting the 1965 Minnesota Twins. Now, before we get to the starting lineups, let's take a look at the status of the Hill. So the current Kings, the 62 Giants, are looking for their fifth win. That would tie them with the 54 Indians and the 1950 Phillies and Yankees. And the Twins are looking for win number 2, and they'd like to get this tournament back to Metropolitan Stadium. It's only been there for one game, and the fans are looking for some more baseball up there in Minnesota. All right, so let's get to the starting lineups for tonight's game. First, for the visiting 1965 Minnesota Twins, leading off at shortstop is Zoilo Versalles. Center fielder Jimmy Hall bats second. Batting third is right fielder Tony Oliva. Batting fourth is third baseman Harmon Killebrew. Batting fifth, left fielder Bob Allison. Batting sixth is catcher Earl Batty. Batting seventh, Don Mincher. He's at first. Batting eighth, second baseman Jerry Kindle. And on the mound and batting ninth is Mudcat Grant. In 1965, he was 21-7 with a 3.30 ERA, 270 innings pitched. He is a number 2 hitting pitcher, so he'll get that card in the lineup. Now for the current Kings, the 1962 San Francisco Giants, leading off Harvey Keene in left field. Batting second, Chuck Hiller at second base. Batting third, Matty Alou. He's playing right field today for the injured Felipe Alou. And I have changed the injuries. If you go back and watch the previous episode, 118, I explained what I'm doing there, but all injuries are reduced to no more than 3 games. Batting fourth, center fielder Willie Mays. Batting fifth, first baseman Orlando Cepeda. Batting sixth, third baseman Jim Davenport. Batting seventh, shortstop Jose Pagan. Batting eighth, catcher Ed Bailey. He's playing for the injured Jim Haller. Batting ninth is the pitcher Juan Marichal. In 1962, he was 18-11 with a 3.35 ERA and 263 innings of work. And he's a number 3 hitting pitcher, so he gets that card. All right. So the lineup cards have been turned in. Juan Marichal's ready. Zoilo Versalles is ready. Umpire says play ball, and we are underway. That's a ground ball to third baseman Jim Davenport over to Orlando Cepeda for the 5-3 putout. And there's one down. Next, center fielder Jimmy Hall. Here's the pitch from Marichal. And that's ball 4. So Hall draws the 1-out walk. So he's on first with 1 out. Tony Oliva. Sorry about that. All right. Right fielder. And that's a strikeout. First strikeout for Marichal. And there are 2 away here in the top of the first. Jimmy Hall's on first base, 2 outs. And Harmon Killebrew. That's a ground ball to first baseman Orlando Cepeda. He's going to go unassisted to the bag. And they get Killebrew by a few steps for the 3rd out. So no runs but 1 hit. No runs, no hits here in the top of the first, and with 1/2 inning in the books. There's no score with the Giants coming up to bat Marichal gets his first fatigue point. And Mudcat Grant is out for the bottom of the first. Harvey Keene's the first batter for the Giants. Here's the pitch. And he hits a line drive, but right at Harm Killebrew for the first out. Here's second baseman Chuck Hiller. It's a ground ball to second base. Kindle over to Mincher for out number 2. So 2 outs, nobody on for the Giants here in the bottom of the first. And right fielder Matty Alou. And Alou hits one down the left field line. It bounces around in the corner. And he cruises into second with a 2-out standing double. So Alou's on second in scoring position with 2 outs. And center fielder Willie Mays comes to the plate. He hits a ground ball to third base. And Killebrew over to Mincher for the 5-3 putout to end the bottom of the first. And with 1 inning in the books, we are scoreless. Mudcat Grant gets his first fatigue point. And Marichal's out for the top of the second. First batter he's going to face is Bob Allison, Twins left fielder. It's a ground ball back to Marichal. He jogs over towards first base and tosses to Orlando Cepeda. And there's 1 away here in the top of the second. So 1 out, nobody on. And Twins catcher Earl Batty. It's a fly ball to right field. And that is going to be Matty Alou. It's an X check. He's a 2. And we roll a 3. And Matty Alou boots that one out there. And Batty cruises into second with a 2-base error. It's the first error for the Giants. All right, so there's a man on second with 1 out. And first baseman Don Mincher. Twins would like to get Batty across the plate. Here's the pitch. And that's a strikeout. Strikeout number 2 for Marichal. They're 2 away. Big second out there. So 2 outs, man on second. And second baseman Jerry Kindle. That's a ground ball to shortstop Jose Pagan over to Orlando Cepeda, and they get Kindle at first for the 3rd out. And with 1.5 innings in the books, we remain scoreless. Marichal gets his second fatigue point. Mudcat Grant's ready to go here in the bottom of the second. First batter is going to be Orlando Cepeda, first baseman for the Giants. It's a ground ball to first base. It's going to be an X check. And Mincher is a 3. And we roll a 5. And a nice play by Mincher from his knees. He tosses over to Mudcat Grant covering the bag, and there is 1 away. 3-1 put out for the first out here in the bottom of the second. That brings up third baseman Jim Davenport. He hits a ground ball to third base. That's Harm Killebrew over to Don Mincher. And there are 2 away. So 2 outs, nobody on for the Giants here in the bottom of the second, where we are scoreless. And Jose Pagan, shortstop, comes to the plate. Here's the pitch. And he hits one into the left center gap. Makes the turn at first, but he's going to hold there. So 2 out single for Pagan. That brings up catcher Earl Bailey, playing for the injured Haller. Here's the pitch. And that is a double for Ed Bailey. Let's check Pagan's running. He's a 1-15 with 2 outs. That makes him a 17. He's getting waved home. And he is safe, and the Giants are on the board. So that was a 2-out RBI double for Ed Bailey. And Grant gets his second fatigue point for the run. There's a man on second with 2 outs. And pitcher Juan Marichal. Grant winds and delivers. And that's a strikeout. He gets Marichal looking for the 3rd out here in the bottom of the second. That's the first strikeout for Grant. But it's not before the Giants score a run on Ed Bailey's RBI double. So with 2 innings in the books, it's the Giants 1 and the Twins nothing. Grant gets his 3rd fatigue point. And top of the 3rd, 2 pitchers are going to face off here. Mudcat Grant is leading off the inning for the Twins. Here's the pitch from Marichal. And that's a strikeout. That's strikeout number 3. And there's 1 away. Number 3 for Marichal. So 1 out, nobody on. Back to the top of the order for the Twins. And Zoilo Versalis, who is 0 for 1. Hits a ground ball to second base. And that's Hiller over to Cepeda. 4-3 put out, and there are 2 away. So 2 outs, nobody on for the Twins. And center fielder Jimmy Hall, who walked his first time up, and he was left stranded. Here's the pitch from Marichal. And that's another strikeout, strikeout number 4, and that's going to end the inning. The crowd goes wild. So with 2.5 in the books, it's the Giants 1 and the Indians, the Twins nothing. Marichal gets his 3rd fatigue point. Mudcat Grant's back out here for the bottom of the 3rd. He's going to face the top of the order for the Giants with Harvey Keene, who is 0 for 1. Hits a ground ball back to Grant. Grant jogs over towards first base and tosses to Don Mincher for the 1-3 putout. And that's the first out here in the bottom of the 3rd. Giants lead 1-0. Here's second baseman Chuck Hiller. He's 0 for 1. And make that 0 for 2 because that's a strikeout. Strikeout number 2 for Grant. So it's 2 up, 2 down. And right fielder Matty Alou, who doubled his first time up. This time he hits a line drive right at Don Mincher, who makes a nice play to end the inning. So the Giants go 1-2-3 here in the bottom of the 3rd. And after 3 innings, the Giants lead the Twins 1-0. Mudcat Grant gets his 4th fatigue point. Marichal, who is at 3. Yeah, he's going to face Tony Oliva. Oliva is 0 for 1. He struck out his first time up. Here's the pitch. That's a ground ball to first base. It's an X check. Cepeda's a 3. And roll a 4. And that ball gets by Cepeda. Rolls into right field. But it's scored as a single. And Oliva's on first with nobody out. It's going to bring up Harmon Killebrew, Twins third baseman. He is 0 for 1. Grounded out to first base his first time up. This time he hits a fly ball, deep fly ball. It's going to be an X check out there. And that's Matty Alou. He's already got 1 error, and he rolls a 15. Alou is a 3. No, excuse me, he's a 2. And 15. That ball's drifting in foul territory, and Alou makes the catch there for the first out. That's a 9 put out, 1 away. So 1 out, and on first for left fielder Bob Allison. Allison is 0 for 1. Ground ball to second base. It's another X check. Hiller is a 3. Roll a 15. Okay, let's see here. It's an out with a note 4. So that says if no runners are forced, but Oliva is forced, with 1 or more runners forced, batter is safe. So that's going to be a fielder's choice. So they get Oliva going to second for the second out, and Allison reaches first on that fielder's choice. So there's 2 outs. Man on first. Twins catcher Earl Batty. Batty reached on an error by Matty Alou his last time up. Here's the pitch. It's a ground ball to second base. It's another X check. Hiller is a 3. And I looked at the wrong chart last time. Oh well. We won't call it an act of God. We'll call it an act of absent-minded idiot. Okay. So, Hiller is a 3, and we rolled a 17. That's telling us to roll again or select another split card. 10. That's a 1 base error. So Hiller boots that. That's the second error committed by the Giants. That allows Allison to move up to second base. And Batty reaches first on that E4. So there's runners on first and second with 2 outs. And first baseman Don Mincher. Mincher struck out his first time up. And he strikes out again. That's strikeout number 5 for Juan Marichal, and that's the 3rd out. So with 3.5 innings in the books, score remains Giants 1 and the Twins nothing. Giants have a very short bench this game due to the injuries. Marichal gets his 4th fatigue point. And Mudcat Grant's out here for the bottom of the 4th. Trailing 1-0. And he gets to face Willie Mays, first batter. Here's the pitch. And Mays hits a laser but right at Harm Killebrew, who snags that for the first out. Gets a thumbs up from Mudcat Grant. So 1 out, nobody on. Orlando Cepeda comes to the plate. Cepeda's 0 for 1. Make that 0 for 2 because he hits a ground ball to shortstop Versalis over to Don Mincher for the 6-3 put out. And there are 2 away. So 2 outs, nobody on here in the bottom of the 4th, with the Giants leading 1-0. 1-0. Here's third baseman Jim Davenport, who's 0 for 1. And he hits a line drive, but it's right at Versalis. Some good defense shown by the Twins here in the bottom of the 4th. And the Giants go 1, 2, 3. So after 4 innings of play, it's the Giants 1 and the Twins 0. Mudcat Grant gets his 5th fatigue point. Juan Marichal, who's at 4. He comes out here for the top of the 5th with a 1-0 lead. And he's going to face Jerry Kindle, second baseman for the Twins. And Kindle hits this one in the left center gap. And he's going to cruise into second with a leadoff double. So he's on second with nobody out. And pitcher Mudcat Grant. Grant struck out his first time. But this time we're going to try, or he's going to try to move that runner over. So we got 2 blue dice, and we roll a 6. And he bunts it down to third base line. The only play that Davenport has is to first base, so it's a successful sacrifice by Grant for the first out, but that gets Kindle over to third. With 1 away and back to the top of the order, Zoilo Versalis, who is 0 for 2. Man on third, 1 out. Giants lead 1-0. And this could be trouble. Versalis hits one right up the middle that gets through. That's going to score Kindle. This game is tied. That's an RBI single for Versalis. So we are tied at 1. Marichal gets his 5th fatigue point. And there's 1 out with a man on first base. And center fielder Jimmy Hall, who is 0 for 1 with a walk. Not anymore. He hits one up the middle. Some back-to-back base hits. Versalis gets over to third. He's held up there, so the Twins have runners on the corners with 1 out. Tony Oliva comes to the plate. And the Giants are bringing the infield in. We're tied at 1. Top of the 5th. Runners at first and third, 1 out. And here's the pitch to Oliva. And that is a fly ball to deep center field. Willie Mays goes back. He watches it over his head. It's out of here, gone. A 3-run shot by Tony Oliva. And the Twins are now up 4-1. And that is 8 fatigue points for Juan Marichal. There's a little bit of activity, movement going on in the Giants bullpen. Let's see. So the bases have been cleared by that home run, but there's still only 1 out in Harm Killebrew. And he strikes out. Strikeout number 6 for Marichal. So there's 2 outs and nobody on. Bob Allison left fielder for the Twins. Twins lead 4-1 now. And Allison is 0 for 2. Hits a fly ball to left field. It's an X check. Harvey Keene is a 3. We roll a 17. And Keene makes a nice play at the track to record the third out. But the Twins do pick up 4 runs here in the top of the 5th, and after 4.5, it's the Twins 4 and the Giants 1. Marichal gets his 9th fatigue point. And Mudcat Grant, who's at 5, now has a 3-run lead. And the first batter he's going to face is Jose Pagan, who is 1 for 1 with a run scored. Here's the pitch from Grant. And that's a fly ball to right field. Tony Oliva's under that, makes the catch, 1 away. Tony Oliva, I apologize for that. In any event, there's 1 out, nobody on. And catcher Ed Bailey. He hits a ground ball to third base. That's going to be Killebrew over to Mincher for the 5-3 put out. And there are 2 away. And Juan Marichal is going to bat because of the short bench. He's 0 for 1 with a strikeout. Here's the pitch. He hits a ground ball to third base. It's Killebrew over to Mincher. Second verse, same as the first, and the Giants go 1, 2, 3 here in the bottom of the 5th. So with 5 innings in the books, it is the Twins 4 and the Giants 1. Mudcat Grant gets his 6th fatigue point. Marichal, who is at 9, is out here for the start, at least, of the top of the 6th inning. First batter's Earl Batty, catcher. He's 0 for 2. Reached base on 2 errors. But he hits one down the left field line that rattles around and gets away from Harvey Keene. Batty rounds second and slides into third with a leadoff triple here in the top of the 6th. And now there is some activity in the Giants bullpen, and it looks like it's Bob Bolin who's warming up. So Matt on third with nobody out. Batty's triple. It's going to bring up first baseman Don Mincher. The Giants are bringing the infield in. Mincher is 0 for 2, 2 strikeouts. Here's the pitch. He hits a ground ball. 3-3. It's a ground ball to second base. And that's going to score. That gets by, that ground ball, because the infield is in, gets by Hiller and rolls into right field, and that's going to score Earl Batty, and it's now 5-1 in favor of the Twins. So Mincher gets the RBI single. There's still nobody out, man on first. Marichal's at 10 fatigue points. He only has 1 more before he becomes fatigued. And Bolin is ready when necessary. Here's Jerry Kindle, man on first, nobody out. Twins lead 5-1 here in the top of the 6th. That's a ground ball to second base. And the only play that Hiller has is at first base. That allows Mincher to move up to second. So it's a 4-3 put out and the first out. So Mudcat Grant comes to the plate. He sacrificed his last time up, and he's doing it again. We roll an 11. Oh, and he pops this one up down the first base line. And Orlando Cepeda's under that, makes the catch for the second out. So 2 outs, a man on second. And back to the top of the order with Zoilo Versalles, who is 1 for 3. Look out. Make that 2 for 4 because he hits a towering fly out to left field. Harvey Keene jumps up at the wall, but it's out of here, gone. Zoilo Versalles with a 2-run shot. That scores Don Mincher along with himself. And that's going to be it for Juan Marichal. It is now 7-1 in favor of the Twins. Versalles gets 2 RBIs there. So, as mentioned, that's it for Juan Marichal. New pitcher for the Giants is Bob Bolin. He's listed as a reliever starter. And in 1962, he was 7-3 with a 3.62 ERA, 92 innings pitched. Let me get that here on the scorecard. All right, so 2 outs, nobody on, after Versalles cleared the bases. Indians, that's the second time I called Minnesota the Indians. Hey, Twins lead this one 7-1. Here's the pitch from Bolin. And Jimmy Hall fouls this one straight back near the first base dugout. And Bailey's under that, makes the catch, but Jimmy Hall pulls up and the trainer comes out in the field. So that'd be a foul out 2 to end the inning. Let's check the status of Jimmy Hall's injury. This is using the new injury rules that I mentioned in the previous video. We roll a 13, and he's going to be out for 3 games. So the Twins are going to have to make a change there. And let's see what that's going to be. So I'm going to write this down. At Hall. Three more games. And replacing him in center field looks like we're going to have to do some moving around here. It's going to be Sandy Valdespino coming into the game, but he's only listed as a left fielder and a right fielder. So Tony Oliva is going to move. Tony Oliva. My goodness, why do I keep doing that? He's going to move to center field, where he now becomes a 3. So he's going to move to center field, becomes a 3. And Valdespino is going to enter the game for Jimmy Hall, and he's going to play right field. So Jimmy Hall's day is done. And Valdespino, get him in here. He is a 3 in right. All right. Well, that does it for the Twins in the top of the sixth, but they do pick up 3 more runs and now lead this game 7-1. And Bolin gets his first fatigue point. So Tony Oliva will lead off next inning for the Twins. All right, Mudcat Grant now has a 6-run lead. As we go to the bottom of the sixth, it's going to be the top of the order and Harvey Keene. Here's the pitch. And Keene gets a hold of that one, sends it over his counterpart Bob Allison's head, and it's way up out of here, gone. A leadoff solo shot for Harvey Keene, and it's now 7-2, and Grant gets his 7th fatigue point. It's going to bring up second baseman Chuck Hiller. Hiller is 0 for 2. He pops this one up. It's going to stay in the infield. And Kindle's under that, makes the catch. And there's one away. So 1 out, nobody on. Giants trail 7-2. And it's Matty Alou, who is 1 for 2. He pops this one up. It's going to stay in fair territory in the infield. And Harmon Killebrew's under that, makes the catch. 2 away. So 2 outs, nobody on. And Willie Mays, who's been quiet so far this game, 0 for 2. And he hits a 2-out single up the middle. Makes the turn, but he's going to hold it first. So Willie Mays is on first with 2 outs. And Orlando Cepeda comes to the plate. Twins are leading 7-2. And Cepeda pops this one up. It's also going to stay in the infield. Harm Killebrew's under that, makes the catch for out number 3. But the Giants do pick up a run on Harvey Keene's solo shot. And with 6 innings in the books, it's the Twins 7 and the Giants 2. Mudcat Grant gets fatigue point number 8. Bob Bolin's back out. Tony Oliva is going to be the first batter for the Twins. Oliva is 2 for 3 with a home run and 3 RBIs. Here we are in the top of the 7th. And Oliva's not finished. Hits one right up the middle, leadoff single. So Oliva's on first, nobody out. Harm Killebrew. Killebrew's 0 for 3. In other words, he's due. And due he is, because he hits a ball up the middle. Oliva's running is a 1-16, but he's going to hold it second. He's being held up there with the 5-run lead. So back-to-back singles have runners on first and second for the Twins. And Bob Bolin's in trouble already here in the top of the 7th. He's facing Bob Allison now. There's the pitch. And that's a strikeout. That's the first strikeout for Bolin. And 1 away. So runners on first and second with 1 out. And Earl Batty, who tripled his last time up and scored a run. Here's the pitch. All right, so that's a ground ball to second base, and the only play for Hiller is to toss over to Pagan covering second. They get Killebrew for the second out. Oliva moves over the third, and Batty reaches on a fielder's choice. So they got runners on the corners with 2 outs. And first baseman Don Mincher. And that's a strikeout. Strikeout number 2 for Bolin. And he gets out of that jam. So after 6.5, it's the Twins 7 and the Giants 2. Bolin gets his second fatigue point. Mudcat Grant, who's at 8, is back out here for the bottom of the 7th. Jim Davenport's going to be the first batter he faces. Davenport's 0 for 2. It's a fly ball to left field. It's an X check. Allison's a 3. Roll of 17 probably means we're going to roll again. No. I stand corrected. Because Allison makes a nice play out there, and Jim Davenport is head down in disgust. 1 out. 1 out, nobody on. Jose Pagan, Giants shortstop, he is 1 for 2 with a run scored. And he hits a 1-out single right up the middle. So he's on first, 1 away. Brings up catcher Earl Bailey. Ed Bailey. Ed Bailey, who is 1 for 2. He doubled his first time up. Here's the pitch. This time he pops it up. It's going to stay in the infield. And Don Mincher's under that, right at the first base bag. Pagan doesn't move, and there's 1 away. Or excuse me, 2 away. And looks like Bob Boland's going to have to bat here. He is also a number 3 hitting pitcher, so we don't have to change that or flip it over. But that depleted bench for the Giants. No, you know what? He's being called back. And it's going to be Willie McCovey. Pinch hitting for Bob Boland. And Billy Pierce, excuse me, not Billy Pierce, Stu Miller. Or strike that one as well. It's going to be Mike McCormick warming up for the Giants. He'll pitch in the top of the 8th. So the day's over for Bob Boland. And it's going to be McCovey pinch hitting. So man on first, 2 outs, and Willie McCovey facing Mudcat Grant. Here's the pitch. And McCovey hits a ground ball to third base. And that's going to be Harmon Killebrew over to Don Mincher for the 3rd out. And that's it for the Giants here in the bottom of the 7th, and with 7 innings complete, it's the Twins 7 and the Giants 2. So as mentioned, Mike McCormick is the new pitcher for the Giants here in the top of the 8th. In 1962, he was 5-5 with a 5.36 ERA, 99 innings pitched. And leading off will be Jerry Kindle. Twins lead 7-2 here in the top of the 8th. There's the pitch. He pops this one up. It's going to stay in the infield. Jose Pagan calls everyone off and makes the catch for the 1st out. McCormick's name in here. And eighth, top of the eighth. All right, so there's one out, nobody on. And pitcher Mudcat Grant. Grant is 0 for 2 with a sacrifice. This time he hits a ground ball to third base. It's going to be Jim Davenport over to Orlando Cepeda. 5-3 put out, and there are 2 away here in the top of the 8th. Back to the top of the order, Zoilo Versalis, who homered his last time up. Here's the pitch. And Versalis reaches first base on an infield single. Ball that gets by Jose Pagan, but is ruled a hit. He makes the turn at first, but he's going to hold there. So he's on first with 2 outs. And Sandy Valdespino, who's in for the injured Jimmy Hall. This is his first plate appearance of the tournament for Valdespino. Here's the pitch. And he draws a walk. That allows Versalis to move up to second. So it's first and second with 2 outs. Tony Oliva. He hits a ground ball to second base. It's an X check. Hiller is a 3. We roll a 9. And Hiller makes a nice play. Diving stop. Tosses over to Pagan covering second. They get Hall in the force there. So that would be a 4-3 put out to end the inning. So nothing from the Twins in the top of the 8th. But after 7.5, they do lead 7-2. McCormick gets his first fatigue point. Mudcat Grant, who is at 8, will face the top of the order. And there's going to be some action in the Twins bullpen right now. And it's going to be Al Worthington warming up for the Twins. But right now, it's Mudcat Grant facing Harvey Keene. Keene is 1 for 3. That one was a home run back in the 6th, the solo shot. Here's the pitch. This time Keene pops it up near third base. Harmon Killebrew calls everyone else off and makes the catch for the first out. So 1 out, nobody on. And second baseman Chuck Hiller. Hiller's 0 for 3. There's the pitch. It's a fly ball to left field that sends Bob Allison back near the track where he's under it and makes the catch. And there are 2 away here in the bottom of the 8th. So 2 outs, nobody on. Matty Alou comes to the plate with the Giants trailing 7-2. And there's the pitch. That's a 2-out single for Matty. That's his second hit of the night. He's going to make the turn but hold it first. And that brings up Willie Mays. Singled his last time up. He's 1 for 3. Here's the pitch from Grant. It's a fly ball to left field. It's an X check, and Bob Allison is a 3. And we roll a 4. And he boots it out there. So Mays reaches on an E7. That's the first error for the Twins. It's a 2-base error. Lou gets over to third. He's held there, so the Giants have runners on second and third with 2 outs, and Orlando Cepeda coming to the plate. Twins would like to see Mudcat Grant get through this inning. There's the pitch. And that is going to score a run. That's a single down the right field line. That's going to score Marichal. So it's now 7-3. Grant picks up a fatigue point for that. Mays moves up to second, but he might be heading to third. He's a 1-17. He's going to third. I know they say don't make that out at third, and he is safe. So runners on the corners for the Giants with 2 outs, and they now trail 7-3. Here's Jim Davenport. See if they can get themselves back in the game right here. No, it's a strikeout. And that is strikeout number 3 for Mudcat. He gets out of the jam, but does give up a run. And after 8 innings of play, it's the Twins 7 and the Giants 3. Grant will get his 10th fatigue point. His day is most likely over. Right now it's Mike McCormick. See if he can keep the Twins off base and give the Giants a chance in the bottom of the ninth. First batter he's going to face is Harmon Killebrew. Killebrew is 1 for 4. Look out. That's a fly ball to deep center field. There's no doubt about that one. Mays watches it go over his head. It's way up, out of here, gone. A leadoff solo shot for Harmon Killebrew. And it's now 8-3 in favor of the Twins. McCormick gets his 2nd fatigue point. That brings up Bobby Allison. Allison is 0 for 3. 0 for 4, excuse me. He hits a ground ball to shortstop Jose Pagan over to Orlando Cepeda for the 6-3 putout and the first out of the top of the ninth. So there's 1 out, nobody on. Catcher Earl Batty. There's the pitch. And Batty draws the 1-out walk. There's a man on first with 1 out. Don Mincher. Twins lead 8-3. There's the pitch. And it's a ground ball to second base. And that's going to be Hiller to Pagan to Cepeda for the inning-ending 4-6-3 double play. Twins pick up an insurance run on Harmon Killebrew's solo shot. So after 8.5 innings, it's the Twins 8 and the Giants 3. Mudcat Grant, McCormick, I should mention, gets his 3rd fatigue point. Mudcat Grant, who is at 10, is coming out, but Al Worthington is ready as needed. First batter he's going to face is Jose Pagan here in the bottom of the ninth, and he has a 5-run lead with the Twins ahead 8-3. Here's the pitch, and Pagan pops this one up. It's going to stay in the infield. Killebrew's under that, and just as he had several times in this game, he makes the put out, and there's 1 away. So 1 out, nobody on. Catcher Earl Bailey. Bailey's 1 for 3. Here's the pitch. And that's a strikeout. Strikeout number 4 for Mudcat. There's 2 outs, nobody on. And the Giants are 1 out away from tumbling down the hill. And it's going to be a pinch hitter. The only player left on the bench is Ernie Bowman. He's going to pinch hit for Mike McCormick. So 2 outs, nobody on. Ernie Bowman's the last hope for the Giants. There's the pitch. And it's a ground ball to third base. It's going to be an X check. Killebrew's a 4. Roll a 6. And that one gets by Killebrew. Rolls into right field. And Bowman gets a 2-out single. Forgot to write his name down here. So he's on first with 2 outs. It's back to the top of the order. Harvey Keene. Warming up for the Giants, if needed, is Don Larson. So 2 outs, man on first. Top of the order, Harvey Keene, who has homered in this game. But right now the Giants trail the Twins 8-3. So the Giants have a lot of work to do to try to extend this game. So here we go. There's the pitch to Keene. And it's a ground ball to third base. It's an X check. Killebrew's a 4. And we roll a 2. And that one also gets by Killebrew. Scored a single. Keene on first, and Bowman moves to third. So his runners, he's held up there. His runners on the corners with 2 outs. Chuck Hiller. Giants have a long way to go, but I've seen it done. Here's the pitch to Hiller. And that's a strikeout to end the game. So Mudcat Grant does complete this one and ends this game with strikeout number 5. And the Twins win 8-3. Let's get some totals. The Twins had 8 runs on hits. They committed 1 error. The Giants had 3 runs on 8 hits. They committed 2 errors. Winning pitcher, of course, is Mudcat Grant. And the loss goes to Juan Marichal. So we got a new King of the Hill in the 1965 Minnesota Twins, and they will face the 61 Cincinnati Reds in game number 38 of the Strat-O-Matic Baseball Oldtimer Kings King of the Hill tournament. If you hung out with me tonight, I know it was a bit of a long one. I was a little slow in places and there was a lot going on, but we are under an hour, or right around an hour it'll be. But that's going to do it for this episode. Like I said, if you hung out, I appreciate it. And I'll be back again in the near future with another replay video. And until then, take care.